Just capturing a few things from today's class. This one was a question from a student: how to create a repeat pattern on the border of a disk. I might just get a gradient, so click on a gradient. Just click here, you get a gradient. Uh, you all probably know about this disease of Illustrator. Once you select a black and white gradient, it becomes very difficult to choose a color gradient. But if you click on this icon here, first of all, let me make it radial and let me just drag it from here. But you can double click here, and so if you can't see this color bar, you just click here and go to RGB. So by default, sometimes it gets stuck here. Change it to RGB and get a color. Anyway, the question that was asked was, how can something be repeated radially along the circumference of a circle? So let's say you wanted to repeat this one. Let's say you wanted to repeat this design along the circle. So main thing is you need your snap on. If you go to view smart guides, yeah, it automatically snaps smartly. First thing, use the rotate tool. Now when you use the rotate tool, the first thing you're going to do is set your pivot. So I'm just hovering over this point over here. I can just click and drag, and you can see here it locks on and I let go. I need to grab this pivot and I need to drag it and let go. So that's gone to the center. The next thing I can do is rotate it. But if I press the Alt key, see notice the cursor doubles up, it means it is ready to copy. So Alt allows you to copy. Now click on it and make your copy. So I'll just do, let's say, half of 45, 22.5 somewhere, 22.5. And I can do Control D to repeat my action. Control D repeats my action, and there you go. I've got my radial repetition happening. To get the shield patterns, what we had done was, I'm just going to make a circle. Now I snap from the center and I'm pressing Alt and Shift. So Alt and Shift allows me to draw a circle. I don't need the inside fill now. Many of you had this problem today. I don't need this fill inside, but I do need some kind of a outline, and I will worry about it very soon. So I'm just going to give it a color for now. So we made some patterns, and I'm just going to make two types of patterns. So that's one color. And that's another color. So I just take these two guys and drop them in the brush menu as a pattern brush. Now some of you, and you can see that's going to repeat. Now some of you, what you did was you guys tried to have a gradient in your, up here. And let's say you're going to change the color. Take this guy, have a gradient, change the color. Now when you have a gradient and you try to drag and drop into the brush menu, it actually tells you, I'll make it an art brush so I can stretch it. It says element cannot be used. Now that's because of the gradient. What you can do is you can go to object and expand this. You can see it's going to do something to the fill out here. It's going to make it into 200 objects actually out there. And then you can drop it, art brush, okay, very happy. So if you select here, an art brush is a brush that stretches, by the way. So there it pretty much stretches along your path. You can go here and say stretch to fit stroke length. Okay, there's something, a bit of an extra bit here because of which it's not working. And let's look at the other pattern. and that was the other pattern. By the way, if you change the thickness of it and then scale it, you can actually do a lot of things. Let me align this. It's not fully aligned. Align middle, align middle. Yep, now it's okay. Maybe I should move them a bit. Okay, so that was my pattern, and somebody said, okay, how do I make a pattern and then fill a gradient? You can again say object expand, object ungroup, and ungroup again, because it tends to group the pairs. Now you can see I've got these individual components, and I can just say, okay, I like this gradient, by the way, so I'm just going to fill it. That's because it's not a gradient anymore. But if you like some gradient, all you have to do is take the fill button or the dropper button, click on a dropper, and it actually sucks that color and puts it here. And you can do it to several things at one time, and this should work. Okay, some of you wanted a dragon head, so that was another thing that I did. I'll just take this image is good enough for me. You can see how important the pen tool is in terms of trying to get some really awesome graphics happening here. I haven't done a great job here, but let's say that was my head. Okay, and I'm just going to use a flat color. So let's say I've got a head. I take a bit of a stretch here, make a copy of that. Take this guy, make a copy of it. Flip this guy, and I take all of these, and this pathfinder tool, we will use it a lot more. Window pathfinder. I can divide things and I can join them. So I'm just going to join them. I'm going to use unite, and you can use unite or merge. So I've just used one of them. I used this one here to merge. I've merged it. Now I can drag and drop this into a brush and call it a art brush. I can say scale proportionately. I can make some things to the width and stuff, but I'll leave that. Now if I have a circle, I'm just pressing Alt and Shift so I can get a circle. No fill, just an outline. So I just pressed this one here. Changes the fill to an outline, outline to a fill. And I select this dragon. So you can see I've got my dragon. Now it doesn't look too awesome because first of all I need a gap there and it's too stretched. So what I really need to do is I need to play with my brush before I actually make it into a brush. I'm going to use the white arrow tool, select these guys on the right and stretch these guys. If you press the shift key, you can move them faster. Number one. Number two, I'm just going to put an empty box. Yeah, you got to click on the triangle there. I'm just going to click an empty box here. And then select all of this and then drop it here as a art brush. An art brush is the brush that stretches all the way. And you can see I've got an extra space now. Now I take this circle and say use this guy. And now we have got our... Now my head wasn't really nice, but you can see I still have achieved something for my shield. And that can be my second shield. So we did these brushes, pattern brushes, art brushes, and so on. I'm going to clear my canvas for now and show you a few other things very quickly that we did today. One was, if you have a path, and it doesn't matter whether you have a curved path like that, you can actually take a text, hit the path and say text on a path. Now if you don't want the path to disappear, what I normally do is I make a copy of my text. Now I double clicked and selected my text. I can go to character and I can change the font size. Text on the path. Sorry, I was changing the distance from the path back there. Now if your text is bigger than the path, it will start disappearing, okay? But you can move it. Use the white arrow tool. See the middle one? You can move it. You can click it. Wait for the cursor to change, click and then move. And if you move it around, it goes on the other side. You can apply it on a circle or anywhere. Next thing was distorting a paragraph text. So you need a paragraph text. Let's say I'm just gonna get some text. Just gonna copy one paragraph. I've got some text happening there, and what I had done was that I had killed the gap. Suppose I had a circle. Now this one I did not do this in class, but those of you who actually watch the video will learn something new. You see my text is more, and let me just zoom in. So I've got text which is more than the size of the shape. If I start rotating my shape, you can see this text starts realigning itself. If I click on this red button here, see the cursor has changed. As I go over the red button, I click and I come here on the edge and click. The text continues here. I can click here and I can click and drag and the text continues here. I can click here, I can click and drag and the text continues. So probably there isn't much here. Yeah, it's ended. I click here, I click here, I get another box. Okay, so you can get these kind of things. But what I really wanted to show you was if I have this and I have some text, you can make a path. It has to be closed. And in the class I did a wine glass, but I'm just going to do something simple now. You can make a path. This path should be closed, and if I drag, you can see there's no gap. The blue line is complete, closed, and it has to be on top. It can be in the middle. And when you select both the text and the object, the top object, and you go object, text wrap, make, you have the text going around it. Now I can actually take this guy and have an outline there. I could have a picture there. I could have some kind of a picture that had that kind of an outline. I don't need this, and it would make a really nice graphic, something very nice. You could use some kind of graphic in your websites, print material, whatever. The two other things we did with the top object were you can have some text. You can choose whatever font you want. I'll leave it. You can have a closed shape, and what I did was I gave quite a few examples, but this example I just deleted one point, but you can see it's open. The circle is not complete. I can say object, path, object path join, and now if I drag this, you can see it's closed. Because I made it afterwards, it's sitting on top, but just to confirm, yep, it's sitting on top. Select both the text and this and go object, envelope, distort, make with top object, and there you go. And as I distort this, by the way, if I take the white arrow tool and distort this, my text does distort. So if you want to fine tune objects, no problem, you can actually do that. And one more thing I showed you was clipping masks. So you can have an image, you could have anything really. And if you have an object on top, I did a text in class, but you can really have any object. I'm just going to put another circle on the top. So if you have any object on top, you can select all of this and say object clipping mask, object clipping mask make, and there that you have a top object magic happening here. I've shown you most of the things. There's one more thing I actually made on. If you have a shape, you can apply effect, distort, and you can go pucker and bloat. You can preview it, and as you play with it, you can see the pattern. And if you apply it to, I'll just tear this off and keep it because it's just being annoying. So there, you could go here, and I'm just going to apply the same thing. And you can see it works differently on each of these. I'll just have another one. You can also say object, path, add anchor points. So I've got more anchor points, and now if I apply the same effect, you can see I get more points. Cool. So I think that's kind of what I'd covered today.